And the fact is, every day, we're all moving in the direction of a character of one sort or another.
There's two types of apology. There's the I'm sorry that you didn't like what I said.
I'm sorry you're so sensitive.
Or that you're so sensitive, exactly.
Yeah. A hypocrite has no intention of becoming what he's pretending to be. But when I act as if, I have a different posture of the will. My goal now is not to fool other people and make them think I'm different than I actually am. I'm living with a surrendered will. I want to become an honest person.
One of the biggest findings in positive psychology is that discovering new ways to use your signature strength to deploy it in a different way every day is one of the greatest things you can do for character growth.
Now, if while I read that list of 24 traits, you found yourself saying, that's me, after every single one of them, probably humility is not going to be at the top of the list.
Well, the question, if you like, that I was asking myself about people started to change. So it went from what's wrong with this person, the question changed into what is this person missing?
A 5-year-old that I know goes into his 1-year-old sister's room with a single message, hey sister, enthusiasm. I could use curiosity in bad ways. I could even use patience in bad ways. I could use courage in bad ways, but not love. One of the primary characteristics of Jesus is he never taught only for information. He always taught for the sake of life transformation. There is a remarkable picture. It was taken in 1936. In this picture, you can see in the full version of it, hundreds of workers, or in a more closely cropped one, a bunch of workers, and they're all giving the Nazi salute except one man who is standing there with his arms folded across his chest, deliberately not giving it.
Thank you, Professor. I'll take it from here. My thoughts are, number one, I'm not going to do my Harry Carey instruction.
Would you eat the moon
pay extra
if it
for
was
that?
made of green cheese?
Would you? I would.
It's a simple question.
Spare ribs and some barbecue sauce.
We tend to associate with wisdom with age. One of the interesting and sobering findings is that there was not a correlation between the exercise of wisdom and wisdom-related tasks and how old somebody is. When you're facing a difficult situation, if you avoid it, if you don't look it square in the eye, if you wimp out, if you run away, even if things turn out well, your sense of well-being, esteem goes down. We hear that so often. Run after your passion, follow your bliss. You do not get to set the pathways of your life and the circumstances that you will inhabit, and neither do I. There is a race that has been set before me, and it involves my body and my genes and my family and other people around me and this world in which I live.
People will ask me when they first encounter me talking about character strengths, to say, where is God in all this? And I guess my experience is exactly what you've described, which is the moment I try to be hopeful, grateful, self-controlled, humble, etc., I immediately run into my inability to do it.
We all have a tendency to want to expand ourselves, to grow more competent, to expand our knowledge, to expand our skills, to expand our love and our care for other people and our joy. But here's the strange thing. Actually, in order to expand ourselves, we have to empty ourselves and make space for another person. Research indicates self-estimated intellectual abilities do not lie in a close relationship to actual intellectual abilities. To bring creativity into our everyday life, sometimes that happens when we combine things that nobody else would have combined before. So like disco and jazz put together and you get funk, or spirituals and rock put together and you get blues, or country and rap, you put them together and you get crap. There'll be an organization where there's a leader there, and the message the leader is communicating, although they wouldn't say it in so many words, is, I'm the one that makes this extraordinary. And if I weren't here, it wouldn't exist like this.
It's just such an interesting version of insecurity. Such an interesting version of insecurity.
Yeah.
Why would you need to do that? I will tell people all the time, I'm never the smartest person in the room, even if I go into a room by myself.
There's a reason why forgiveness is so much at the core of the Christian faith and the spiritual life. To become a truly forgiving person involves all of the character qualities and skills and help from God that's needed to become a truly good person.
The overall picture that was emerging was a picture of what I call mixed character, where we have some good sides to our character. In some situations, we will rise to the challenge and say, help a stranger in need. But in other situations, this is the mixed part of it, the unfortunate part of it, we will let self-interest get in the way of doing what we morally should do, the right thing.
A deep commitment to looking with unblinking courage and honesty and insight at reality, and then not being passive, but saying, I will chart my course, not only based on good intentions, but also what will be the best, most skillful, most courageous way to navigate reality, including other people.
But what I've come to learn is that being rooted and grounded in Christ frees us. It frees us to be curious.
You might think about this. The right order of life is that my will tells my mind what to do, and my mind tells my body what to do, my body obeys it. When I get messed up, my body is in charge, my appetites, and my mind becomes obsessed with that, and then my will gets enslaved to whatever my appetites are.
Exposed and vulnerable. Two things we avoid and lean away from that are utterly necessary for great teamwork.
What's fascinating when we get to fruit of the Spirit is it's not fruits of the Spirit, it's fruit of the Spirit. It's this single idea that if you have the Spirit, then peace, kindness, self-control, love, all these things come together in a unity.
God is a God who loves beauty. Beauty, Dallas Willard says, is goodness made manifest to the senses.
What is it that enables someone to overcome hardship? What's greater than that? The Stoics would say that's reason. Our ability to understand and to select the attitude that I take. Seneca talked about how they can imprison you, but that does not confine you. They can mutilate you, but that does not torture you. That does not stop you. They can enslave you, but that does not impede you, because you can select your inner attitude. It is the self that clings to reason that is able to transcend suffering. Now, that brings us to the Apostle Paul.
Jesus is the firstborn, but here we see someone who doesn't use that prerogative, his power and his privilege for his own self, but he pours himself out and is constantly looking for those who are poor, for those who are oppressed, for those who are disregarded, for the prisoner, to be able to love them.
People much more than in the past desire to pursue fame. Nearly twice as many, he writes, say that they would rather be a celebrity's personal assistant, for example, Justin Bieber's, than the president of Harvard. Though, Brooks writes, to be fair, I'm pretty sure the president of Harvard would rather be Justin Bieber's personal assistant. Gray hairs, rotten teeth, dim eyes, trembling joints, short breath, stiff limbs, wrinkled skin, short memory, decayed appetite. And in our day, we say, we can do something about that. You don't have to go through that. But Taylor reminds us what wise people have always known, that life is very, very short.
When I think I know one thing about somebody, and then I learn that something completely different is the case.
Condoleezza Rice one time was being interviewed by Tim Russert. He asked her a question, and she suddenly made the sign of the cross. And he asked her, did you just make the sign of the cross? And she said, yeah, when I'm with you, I got to bring out the big guns.
Generosity means learning to trust in the reality of the kingdom, that just like money is real, the kingdom is real. And when we give, we are trusting God and we are stepping into a deeper reality. The world needs you. And your raw material is part of the package, and there are blessings in it. There are ways that has been damaged and dinged because physical creation has fallen and our environment has fallen. But you are not just the product of nature and nurture. You have a choice.